Today being Christmas Eve, I started thinking, what are some traditions that you all do on this day? And I thought, you know what, I will share a couple of mine that I have done with my family and my kiddos for years and years. One that is truly special to me, and you'll see why here when I read it. But this is going to be a short video, but I wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas today on Christmas Eve and throw a little something out there to everybody. All right, so traditions, right? We all have our family traditions. We all have those things that we remember as kids of our grandparents doing, our parents doing, going, traveling to, and whoever's house in pajamas at night and s'mores and hot cocoa and putting up the trees and, Christmas Eve dinner and all those things that are traditions, right? And regardless of where you're watching this, throughout the country or around the world, we all have those traditions that are truly memorable and help shape the person that we are, especially this time of year, right? Christmas time. So one of the things that I've always done with my kids on Christmas Eve is we'll have a dinner, open one present, and then we'll sit down and I'll read some stories. So once I became a father and my oldest son was old enough to be able to hear and to understand, I've always read certain stories. And this carried through for all the kids all the way up until tonight. We're still going to do it tonight, later tonight. And obviously the first story is the biblical story, the story of Christ being born. And that to me is super special. I'll never not read that story on Christmas Eve, right? Who else out there does the same thing? Now, another story that I will read is 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Of course, you got to read that one, right? Everyone needs to sit down, have their cocoa, be in their Christmas pajamas or, whatever, and sit there and listen to 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. A third story that I read every year is this one. And this is the book that I started reading when my son Blake, who's now 24, was 2, 3. And that's this one. Now, if y'all have never read this book, this is not the normal Rudolph story right here. It's a little different. And I love it. These are the big three, right? Well, there's one more for me. And this one hits home to me because I was in the military. I first saw this poem in, I want to say it was 1997, I think. And when I first read it, y'all, it hit hard because I was serving at that time. And the words of this poem that I'm going to read to everyone and that I'm going to end the video on, if you have someone serving, or if you had someone in your family who has served, maybe have them read this poem, or maybe read it to them. The words catch me every time, so I'm going to do my best not to get caught up in the emotion that I feel every time I read this. But I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm always real on this channel, regardless. I'm always real. I show what's happening. Good, bad, or all the in between. But with my son being in the military, and he will not be home this year for Christmas, this poem really is hitting hard this year. And it hit me hard every year I've read it. And I've always read this poem because it's important to me to ensure that my kids understand how blessed they are. And for us as parents, how blessed we are when our kids are home for Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, the holidays. And I thought I would share this with you all. I've never shied away from the fact that I was in the military, obviously, or that my son is in the military, or that my oldest daughter had joined the Navy, but things happened. She didn't get through boot camp. And of course, over Veterans Day, I did the Veterans Day video where I kind of gave a whole history of my family, service to our country. So Military service is a big deal to me. You all know that. Christmas is a big deal to me. Family is an absolute insanely big deal to me. And I just wanted to share this one tradition with you all. If nothing else, just as a reminder that when you have your kids and your kin, your loved ones at home this year, remember all the ones that aren't home. All the families that don't have their loved ones at home. I know Christmas is a joyous occasion, but for some it can be a little depressing. So, if my son is watching this video, understand and know that I love you very much. Very proud of you. Oh, something was in my eye. All right, y'all. I'm going to do my best to get through this without tearing up. So if there are breaks, just please forgive me. I'm going to put the poem up on the video so you don't have to watch me read it. But I'm going to read this out loud. To me, it's very important. This is "'Twas a Night Before Christmas," a soldier's version, or the soldier's night before Christmas. "'Twas the night before Christmas, he lived all alone in a one-bedroom house made of plaster and stone. I had come down the chimney with presents to give, and to see who in this home did live. As I looked all around, a strange sight I did see. No tinsel, no presents, not even a tree. No stockings by the fire, just boots filled with sand. On the wall hung pictures of a far distant land. With medals and badges, awards of all kind, a sobering thought soon came to mind. For this house was different, unlike any I had seen. This was the home of a U.S. Marine. I'd heard stories about them. I had to see more, so I walked down the hall and pushed open the door. And there he lay sleeping, silent, alone, curled up on the floor in his one-bedroom home. He seemed so gentle, his face so serene. Not how I pictured a U.S. Marine. This was the hero of whom I just read, curled up in his poncho, a floor for his bed. His head was clean shaven, his weathered face tan. So soon understood this was more than a man. For I realized the families that I saw that night owed their lives to these men who were willing to fight. Soon around the nation the children would play, the grown-ups would celebrate on a bright Christmas day. They all enjoyed freedom each month and all year because of Marines like the one lying here. I couldn't help wonder how many lie alone on a cold Christmas Eve in a land far from home. Just the very thought brought a tear to my eye. I dropped to my knees and I started to cry. He must have awoken, for I heard a rough voice. "Santa, don't cry. This life is my choice. I fight for freedom. I don't ask for more. My life is my God, my country, my core." With that he rolled over, drifted off into sleep. I couldn't control it. I continued to weep. I watched him for hours, so silent and still. I noticed he shivered from the cold night's chill. So I took off my jacket, the one made of red, and covered this Marine from his toes to his head. Then I put on a t-shirt of scarlet and gold, with an eagle, globe, and anchor emblazoned so bold. And although it barely fit me, I began to swell with pride, and for one shining moment, I was Marine Corps deep inside. I didn't want to leave him so quiet in the night, this guardian of honor so willing to fight. But half asleep he rolled over, and a voice clean and pure said, "Carry on, Santa, it's Christmas Day, all secure." One look at my watch, and I knew he was right. Merry Christmas, my friend, Semper Fi, and good night. And with that being said, there are different versions of this story for each of the branches of service. That one is just one that I found in '97 that I've always read. It's always hit me really hard. The soldier one, the army one, is really, really good also. And if it does not bring emotion to those reading it, I don't know what to tell you. It's rough. It's hard. And having lived it, I know those words are true. Believe me. So on behalf of me, my family, I want to wish everyone out there watching this video the merriest of Christmases, the happiest of New Year's. I am going to take the rest of this week off. There will not be a video coming out until the following Tuesday, which will be Christmas Eve. Which will be New Year's Eve. So everyone, enjoy the holidays. Spend them with your family and friends. Remember those who don't have their families home with them. Hug your kiddos tight. God bless each and every one of you. I love you all. And to all, a good night.